On September 19th, 1973, the music industry was hit with a huge shock when country rock star Gram Parsons was found dead in room 8 of the Joshua Tree Inn. But while the world mourned his loss, it appears he never really left us, as his ghost has been witnessed by many people over the years. So let's explore the life and death of Gram Parsons, a man with ties to the Byrds and the Rolling Stones, who even today inspires many with his music. He was born Ingram Cecil Connor III on November 5th, 1946 in Winter Haven, Florida. After a rocky start to his life, with both parents being alcoholics and his mother suffering from depression, he never felt much love from either. Then in 1958, aged just 12 years old, his world turned upside down when his father could no longer handle his addiction and killed himself. His mother Avis went on to marry a man who not only adopted him and his sister, but would later encourage Gram's love of music. Robert Parsons offered the family a sense of stability, and for the first time there was happiness in the young man's life. But sadly this was short-lived, as his stepfather had an affair, sending his mother onto an alcohol-induced destructive path, resulting in her life ending in 1965 from cirrhosis. Gram had always loved music, and while his world was falling apart around him, he decided to immerse himself in his passion, and before long was headlining in clubs owned by his stepfather. As his name became more known within the music industry, he was introduced to Emmylou Harris in 1971, a partnership that would be beneficial to both and creating rumours of a love affair. Although these rumours were false, Emmylou did say that she always felt attracted to him, but neither acted on those feelings. Now, they toured together in 1973, as well as worked on Gram's album named Grievous Angel, which was released after the singer's death in 1974. But when his marriage failed and his career was hitting a rocky patch, he sadly did what a lot of musicians and celebrities do, and buried himself in drugs and alcohol, something he'd already struggled with earlier in his life. Not surprising considering the influence his parents will have had on him in his younger years with their own problems. Knowing how destructive his addiction had become, Gram took solace in a place he grew to love, somewhere he could be at peace without the stress, the flashing lights and expectations of those around him. He fell in love with Joshua Tree National Park and would meditate with his guitar, write music and indulge in psychedelic drugs. The drugs seemed to inspire his writing, but he'd often confessed to his friends that he witnessed UFOs and spirits while in the wilderness, something that was put down to hallucinations. The thing is, maybe his friends might have been wiser to listen to what he was saying, as he's not the only person to have claimed to see strange phenomena in this area, and they weren't under the influence of any type of drugs. You see, Joshua Tree to lots of people is a place of magic, spirituality and mystery, with hundreds of accounts of unexplained deaths, witch sightings, ghosts, skinwalkers and missing persons. Many people will try to put these accounts down as bull and say it's desert delirium, but is that really fair? Surely dismissing so casually can be harmful to those who have been brave enough to talk about their experiences, as who isn't afraid of being mocked when we open ourselves up to others? But when Gram was going through a particularly rough patch after his home burned to the ground, losing all his possessions except his guitar and car, he decided a trip to his favourite place was all he needed to get his mojo back. Travelling with his girlfriend Margaret Fisher, his manager Phil Kaufman and girlfriend Dale McElroy, Gram immersed himself in drugs and alcohol, often setting off on his own to enjoy the solitude of the desert, while his companion stayed behind and partied at local bars. The night of his death was no exception. You see, after drinking 6 double tequilas, he purchased morphine from a lady who was staying at the same place as him, the Joshua Tree Inn. It is said that in room 1, she injected him with the substance, only for him to overdose on the bed. When his friends discovered what had happened, they went into a massive panic, with his girlfriend Margaret giving him an ice cube suppository as well as a cold shower. After dragging him to room 8 and putting him on the bed, she ran out to get coffee in the hopes that this would wake him up, but upon her return, found Dale attempting to resuscitate him. He was pronounced DOA at Yucca Valley Hospital on September 19th, 1973 at 12:15 a.m. from an overdose of morphine and alcohol. While the world was shocked at his passing, more shocking was the adventures his dead body went on with the help of Phil Kaufman. You see, it turns out that not long before his death, Gram had commented that he would love to be cremated and his ashes scattered at his favourite place, Joshua Tree National Park. When Phil discovered that his body was to be flown to Louisiana so his family could bury him, he and a roadie dressed up like funeral workers showed up at Los Angeles International Airport with a hearse and intercepted the body. From there, they tried to burn his body at the park at Cap Rock and scatter his ashes, as was his last wish. But can you imagine the family's faces or even the airport staff when they discovered the body was missing? Since then, the site has become an illegal monument, with fans having made a makeshift shrine for him. Examples of offerings are necklaces, handmade signs and even beer, with visitors leaving their thoughts in paint on rocks nearby, something the National Park Service has to repeatedly remove. But while his remains being scattered at the park was his final wish, it seems almost poetic that his final moments alive were inside the inn he loved to stay at too. And like many sudden deaths, his spirit has decided to linger on, but not out of unfinished business, more out of his love for the place. In Roommates, where Gram died, you will find photographs, concert posters and album covers depicting his musical journey. There is also a huge black sleigh bed and the original mirror from the time of Gram's final stay. Fans have even left their own memorial items in the room, with guitar picks wedged into the frame of a hand-painted portrait, Polaroids and a brittle once red rose. Outside the room, there is a large guitar said to be sculpted by a local artist. This has also become a shrine, with visitors leaving all kinds of items. For lovers of Gram, it certainly is a place to visit and take in the positive atmosphere, as for the most part, that's what you experience here. So how does Gram let people know he's still there in Roommate, you might ask? Guests have mentioned that the mirror will suddenly shake on the wall, with the nightstand sliding across the floor. But the strangest thing to happen occurs with the front and back doors to the room. It has gotten so bad, the staff have been instructed to always carry a cell phone with them. The head housekeeper, Destiny Alvarado, stated, "I opened the back and front doors and began stripping the bed when both doors slammed shut. I was stuck there for about 2 minutes before both doors unlocked at the same time, and I was able to leave." Now, it would be easy to put this incident down as the wind, but no matter how strong a gust might be, it can't turn a deadbolt or depress a button, which is exactly what happened that day. On another occasion, Roommate was locked up with a deadbolt after the room had been aired out. But while walking away, staff suddenly heard a slam bang sound which echoed around them. They quickly ran back to see what was going on, only to discover the back door had been flung wide open, leading them to believe that Gram wasn't finished taking in the views and fresh air. But there is also a guest book where people write their thoughts while staying in Roommate. It gets filled pretty quickly and has to be replaced every few months, with some of the comments coming as no surprise to the staff at the Joshua Tree Inn. Comments include, "Love envelops this room." "Gram, it was a little trippy when you locked me in here." "Gram, it's good to be back in Roommate. 5 years ago I almost died here. You kept me company in the early morning hours while I recovered and watched the sunrise and listened to the morning doves." One couple decided to take a trip to the Joshua Tree Inn in 2016 after being fans of Gram and Emmylou for over 40 years. Now, they were believers in the paranormal, but didn't really hold much hope that they'd experience anything themselves. They were informed that room 8 was not available at that time due to renovations maybe, but were given room 9 where Emmylou would stay, so they were happy. After a long day of travelling and wanting to get some rest, they decided to retire to the room at around 8:30 p.m. While walking by room 8, they decided to take a peek through the window, yet couldn't see very much due to it getting dark, but knew it was definitely unoccupied. So after settling in for the night, the couple fell asleep, but were awoken at 2 a.m. with loud country music playing from the empty room next door. Shocked but fascinated that this was happening to them, they listened to the music, which eventually stopped at around 8 a.m. Because they knew the room was empty, it only left one other possible answer. the hauntings at the inn were true, and Gram had been blasting some cool tunes for them to enjoy. Over the years, the inn has seen many consistent guests, which include Gram's daughter, who visits around the time of his birthday, 60s folk rock singer Donovan, who even has a suite named after him. Even Kaufman returns to celebrate his friend's memory. The Joshua Tree Inn's current owner is Margot Palucci, who loves her life at the property, stating, "It is and continues to be an enriching experience. I am honoured to be the guardian for this segment of the inn's long and colourful history." So as you can see, this place holds the fascination of not only people with an interest in the paranormal, but the inspiring life of a man many believe to be the father of country rock.